Steve Henn wrote Indiana Noble Sad Man of the Year and 2 previous books from the New York Quarterly's NYQ books. He is one of at least 4 infamous Hoosier writers to attend high school in Warsaw, Indiana. Dreiser, Bierce, and Akbar being the other 3. He teaches there now. It's not as bad as it sounds. No, really. Everyone, please welcome Steve Henn to the stage.
Okay, a couple of things that might help orient you to this opening poem. It's called Recognition. 4 years ago, the mother of my children died in August, and this is about this Thanksgiving, and it's the first Thanksgiving that I had sober in about 10 or 15 years. It's called Recognition. Legend has it Syd Barrett walked into and out of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here recording session, and no one in the band recognized him. This belongs in the Gnostic Gospels of rock and roll. I don't know if I want to feel Lydia's presence in the room this first sober Thanksgiving since her 4-year-old death, or if I'd rather not be struck weeping. We came home from afternoon turkey and I felt spiritually unnerved, so I got out the ice cream and ate it. A little later, I still felt empty and filled myself with warmed up homemade mac and cheese. Then I noticed a headache and took 2 ibuprofen. Nothing improved, so I bought and drank an energy drink at the only big business open this day. When my head still hurt, I took another ibuprofen. By the time I realized I was trying to cure a spiritual condition by shoving shit into my face, I was puking in the toilet before a desperate shower. Don't let the sun go down on your grievance. Don't let your ex-wife haunt you when ghosts don't exist. They tell me the only way through it is to feel it. When I talk to God, I say, I'll accept anything, maybe even death, dear Lord, but please, not this immense sadness. I have a friend, this is a real cheery set, I have a friend whose husband died. Holy cow. So this is a poem I wrote for my friend. It's called Poem for a Friend, begun at Bob Evans in 1992, finished 25 years later in a different booth. I used to hang out there, and my friend Crystal was a waitress there when we were in high school. Hey Crystal, do you remember the Bobs on 30 in 1992 where you'd wait tables and refill my coffee while I read and wrote horrendous poetry and made caveman quality drawings on the backs of paper placemats with 128 different colors of Crayola? Someone claimed the servers fought over the patterns I left behind. Caffeine buzzing home in my mom's mini wagon, wishing my best friend didn't have a girlfriend, or to be more particular, wishing his girlfriend was mine. It must have been a joke. I was no artist, just a kid with the idea of himself as a poet, and the idea that poets live to excess, chase girls, get high. Meanwhile, I'm packing up and driving home at 10:30 on a Friday night. Shit, Crystal, where'd all the time go? I mean, you had a whole-ass, lifelong romance since I last saw you in here. Just minutes. Mere decades ago. All these years later, and no one will ever tell the true ingredients in those off-white ceramic containers of non-dairy creamer. I used to think, sitting in here for hours, not making friends with the kids on county road adventures, that my life was just wasting away, trickling and pooling into nothing important like coffee spilled on a crayon drawing, on a placemat not yet soiled with cigarette ash, so long ago. I used to think tomorrow, or the day after that anyway, sometime too soon, we're all going to die. It's not been long since your husband died. The only thing I can think to say is I wish I hadn't have been right. It's going to get darker. This poem references my dad's death. My dad died when I was 15, and it references being locked up in a psych ward in Bloomington, Indiana, a long time ago. thing I never want to repeat. It's called dissociation. Some things cannot be talked about. The last time I saw my father lying on the living room floor. How I sat at my bedroom desk, unable to concentrate on driver's ed homework, repeating in my head, I didn't need to run through the woods to the hospital on the other side of the neighborhood. Mom said this was nothing, so it would be nothing. Any moment now, back to our regularly scheduled life. Any minute now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Some moments I live again. So many moments when nothing happened. Confined in Bloomington, I was sure I would be beaten. I waited for it. I didn't do anything. It was like they expected me to acquiesce. We want to punish you, and we want you to want your punishment. Crave it. Lick it up like spilt whiskey on the hardwood floor. Nothing happened. Nothing ever happens again and again. When he died, it was nothing. And she was nothing. Another trick. Another actor playing a role to provoke a response. Another cipher in this matrix of sorcery. This joke of a life the gods gave me. But I do love the children she gave me. Spare them. Spare them, oh God, if it is true that you are good. Because I want to believe it. To believe in you. Spare my children. I do love them so. This is the book I wrote. It's got illustrations by my kids in it. There's one. So, where's Pizza Man? Hold on. Anyway, all over there. So it's illustrated by my kids. And my daughter, my 17-year-old, when she was about 15, she did the cover art, which I'm also wearing. All of which can be purchased at the merch table. So, I was on Facebook. I get a lot of stuff off of Facebook for poetry. I know Bob said he doesn't like it when people use their smartphones very much, but I find Facebook very inspiring for poems. And so I was looking at this post. Somebody posted one of those ridiculous, like, would you rather questions, and the question was like, would you rather eat ketchup for the rest of your life or peanut butter? And this guy who was an asshole in high school commented on the comment thread, peanut butter is 2% rat shit. And because I was an asshole in high school too, I wrote this poem in response. The poem is called, in response to a man's helpful Facebook comment that peanut butter is 2% rat shit. This is the debut of this poem. Everything is 2% rat shit. Your life is 2% rat shit. My life is 2% rat shit. The universe is 2% rat shit. The holy roller motorcade of self-confident evangelicals rapturing toward the heavens as a shot from t-shirt launchers at an unevenly attended November Indiana Pacers regular season home basketball game are 2% rat shit. Heaven is 2% rat shit. The irreducible elemental building blocks of all the seemingly solid matter in the universe are 2% rat shit. When you wash your hands after taking a dump with that pearly soap that looks like chemically treated human semen, the soap is 2% rat shit. Your hands also, as well, too, are 2% rat shit. The oversoul is 2% rat shit. The underground, velvet, train, or metaphor is 2% rat shit. Military-grade weaponry is 2% rat shit. The limits of human empathy are 2% rat shit. The way death lurks from an unknown spot in the future like a cosmic hunter with a poisoned arrow is 2% rat shit. My anger is 2% rat shit. When a person hates another person is 2% rat shit. When a person loves another person is 2% rat shit. When I go bat shit because the cat shit on the mattress is 2% rat shit. Everything you say when you try to say something intelligent or witty or to make yourself sound a little bit better than the other people in this room or on this thread or in this nursing home or at this party or at this poetry reading is 2% rat shit. Everything you say is 2% rat shit. Your life is 2% rat shit. So I mentioned I've been hospitalized, which I never used to. I mentioned very rarely, but this is about going to the doctor and getting a med adjusted because I was starting to experience hypomania, which is actually sort of pleasant. So I was like, it was kind of a downer because it's like, I'm really positive right now. He's like, all right, I'm gonna die. So this is called Doc Upticked My Antipsychotic. Doc upticked my antipsychotic, unbubbled me good. Now I'm dressed for depression. I feel like I've invented a rave for undertakers on vacation. I'm DJ Macabre and I dropped the bass. Doc said I was unusually positive. Grandiosity, he asked. I said someone from the National Book Critics Circle followed me on Twitter. I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. Hope can be disordered, lottery ticket wishful thinking. But they made me promises at the new club, and I bought them like a sucker or a saint. I am a man of neither faith nor works, just Turks and jerks allegedly transcribed from God knows where, in this sorry hand, writing on this cheap notebook page. I've mentioned sobriety too. I haven't had a drink since January of last year. I'm not sure how that happens, but it happened. So this is about my two best friends who are like long-time drinking buddies, like major drinking buddies. And it's called Drinking Buddies. And we used to talk about how we were going to be the Golden Boys when we got old. Like the male equivalent of the Golden Girls. And we were going to like live together. So that's where this goes at the start. Drinking buddies. There were three of us, and we joked about aging as the Golden Boys. Argued over who'd be who, all of us thinking of ourselves as the smart and sensible one, the Dorothy, which is a laugher, a joke we never understood was always on us. Two of us decided to have an intervention for the other, the one with the real problem. And we all ended up drunk, the lighter weights on endless domestic beers and peppermint schnapps, the heavy on whiskey and beer. We figured these hard truths might go down easier with a chaser. After I'd been sober 8 months or so, my pal said, I think you're out of the danger zone, let's go out. So I drank 5 Cokes while time dragged at Rex's rendezvous. Bored and drunk, he said, we should go to Fort Wayne sometime soon. And I said, for what? For this? As I drove him to the timeout to continue his fun, he said, you're my best friend, Steve. You'll always be my best friend. And I said, surely, same for me, but I wondered if I wanted it to be true. Was it true? On Halloween last year, we had matching Cheshire Cat and Mad Hatter costumes, and we won a contest, but this year we didn't even bother to go out. This is another book I wrote. I'm going to read a poem out of it now. It's called And God Said Let There Be Evolution. Some of the poems I wrote in this book, I was trying to be Catholic again, and then some of the poems I gave up on it. I gave it my best, the old college try. It was not to be though, sorry Mom. Okay, this is called Collect Call to the Afterworld. You have a collect call from me in Indiana. Not Denmark, but still like a prison. So what? You must have never-ending wildflower fields, ambidextrous dinner tables, VIPs on the right. or 76 virgins times tens of suicide bombers? Somehow I doubt it. Not all of it. Not the existence of it. Just the idea that anybody knows what the hell they have coming. Speaking of, do the good place and the bad place exist side by side like sister cities? Or inside each other like parallel universes? Universi? Universum? Who's to know what to call them, or you? I'll go with Olaf. I've heard whispers of mystical battles between angels and demons, of a man who animates insects from dirt. How much of anything can we know to be true? But you, Olaf, are the destination of all of us, that's true. Barring divinity, intervention by divinity, and defibrillators, everybody gets a one-way ticket. I've got two more, but first I'm going to take a picture of you guys to prove to my mother that I'm not a failure. I think I need light. Get everybody in here. I've got two more. One of them's really sad. So, I got divorced in 2011 from Lydia, and Lydia died 2 years after that. This poem starts with the story of Lydia's death as told by her mother, which I don't know if it's necessarily true. I think it's what her mother can live with. And it's also got, I wrote this after I was reading Frank Stanford, who is excellent and everyone should read. But there were a couple lines in a Frank Stanford poem. Lydia, she wrote me a letter they found after she took poison. That's the first one. And the second one in the same poem was, when you walk down the streets, no one knows you. Your mom tells me you were popping pain pills, and your boyfriend repositioned your body in the bathroom with the belt around your neck. He got what he needed, then never went back. Neither did I bring the kids to your apartment to lay claim to your paintings before your mother could. Nate must have came with. This time he didn't try to fix it with a case of Coors, though I do the same myself and frequently for years following. That in 4-packs, 6-packs, 20 or 30 high ABV beers per service liquors trip to numb the thought of your cold body lying on the floor. Someone told me it's necessary to see the person dead, to know it with our eyes, so I took the kids to the funeral home before they cremated you. Franny refused to go. Zaya told your corpse she was sorry. The man who ran the place had a towel up around your neck to hide the bruises and the scars. What would you say if you wrote me a letter? See you on the flip side? Take care of the kids? Nobody knows what happens when we die. Everybody knows the trouble you put me through, but nobody says anything, not to me anyway, about how I could be trouble for you. Nobody sees how I see me seeing you. I've started a series called American Meditations. I think I might have stolen that from the poet David Dodley, but I'm not sure. He teaches at IUSB. This is the third one. I've written 3. It might stop there. Who knows? For some reason, when I think America, I think motivational speakers. That's what I think of. That's it. That's what we do here. And I think there's a lot of truth to the fact that that's pretty much all we do in this country is motivational speakers. Anyway, There's a poem in this book about Rudy. When Rudy, football Rudy, came to Warsaw High School and gave a motivational speech. And it starts with the line, "Everybody in South Bend knew Rudy was an asshole." Because that's the truth. That's the actual truth of what he is or was like. Anyway, American meditation number 3. This will be the last one. Even if you don't buy anything, if you come up and browse a little bit, it'll make me feel better about myself, okay? Here we go. The best motivational speakers are the ones who really spark a lasting change in real life, in my humble opinion. Laugh out loud, be right back. I guess I'm asking if they really exist or just fly in to goose us in the adrenal glands, collect a fat check, and swoosh, vamoosh for another quickie at the corporation 3 states over. It's kind of like going to the stripper. It costs a lot. Everybody gets really excited. The next morning you find out nothing really happened, but you feel guilty anyway. A womp bop, a loo bop, I hate my job. Aren't we all regretting this Rube Goldberg apparatus of a system we're all committed to because change is uncertain, and uncertainty, we think, is an even worse predicament in which to find oneself? Stranded on an Ohio byway trying to hitch to Ithaca when someone pulls over and offers you no water and the saltiest bag of chips you've ever eaten, so now you're closer to death. It actually happened to me. Do you believe in miracles? Someone asks like a Christmas elf. And you're all, no, motherfucker, I've lived long enough to stay disillusioned. You can't fix me. And finally you've said something that might be true. And that could save a wretch. Could save a wretch. Like you.